Let's make sure we're on there. Hello, beautiful world. Welcome to the Melanie Curran Show, and we are here with episode 6, Survival of the Grooviest, Dance and Genomics, with Dr. Babita Singh. I'm Melanie Curran, your ever-loving hostess, and I am here to tell you that the show is about to start. It wouldn't be a Melanie Curran Show without the theme song, so I'll just get right to that. Very important to have a song for your show if you are planning on making one. Just suggestion. Da-na-na. Close the door on the rest of the world. Spend some time with your favorite girl. She's coming to you on live TV on YouTube. It's the Melanie Curran Show. It's the Melanie Curran Show. Whoa, whoa. There'll be guests that you know and some that you don't. We'll be talking about things, about where we are and what we do, and what does music mean to you. We'll be singing songs and making a difference every day of the week, but especially Friday night. That's when it's on. Friday night, come along, oh Friday night. What do you know? You're tuned in. Sing it, viewers. To the Melanie Curran Show. Oh, it's so good to see you. Tonight we have an amazing guest. This show is getting really good. I'm even surprised at how good the show is getting, and I'm just bathed in my own glory at all times. So it's so confusing when I'm shocked. Tonight we have Survival of the Grooviest, Dance and Genomics with Dr. Babita Singh. Okay, why would anyone want to dance in the first place? Why did we start to jump around at all? Are we not just announcing ourselves to predators? My guest this week is genomics expert and dancer, Dr. Babita Singh. Join us as we explore why dance and music may have integrated long ago and what this says about the survival of the grooviest. Dr. Babita Singh is a scientist by profession and a dancer by necessity. She lives in Barcelona and New Delhi. Her work focuses on human genomes, their wonder and their nuisance. Recently involved in the COVID-19 virus genomics, she is an advocate for open science and ethical data sharing to help researchers do science. She dances, get ready for this list: Tango, Forró, Salsa, Duende, and now Kathak. She describes herself as a professional seeker living in a perpetual oscillation between empirical research and subjective experience. Ladies and gentlemen and people of all genders, give a big round of applause and warm Melanie Curran Show. Welcome to live from New Delhi, I think. Babita Singh.
Wow, thank you. My God, such a long list. You're too kind, Melanie. Come on.
I just am really happy.
Long introduction.
I'm happy to hang out with you and see you again, even though it's through this strange medium of the screen.
I'm really happy to see you and hear your voice again, really. I mean, it was incredible. Your theme song is beautiful. And you know that there's morning here, so it's a nice way to start my morning. You know, my eyes are like open now.
Yeah, you are dealing with a little thing called 7:45 in the morning, which is hard.
Yeah, exactly. 7:41. I'm not a morning person, the smile is like, it's a probably
I forget
too
if you
much.
like to drink coffee.
What?
Do you like to drink coffee? I forget.
Oh my God, a lot. And since I'm in India, here people don't drink coffee. It's more tea, and I
Mm.
miss coffee. I am missing coffee, like coffee withdrawal symptoms I'm getting.
Yeah, I mean that's a serious withdrawal situation. Um,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's hard to
Very
let
hard.
go of
What?
caffeine.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it tests your willpower, it tests, like all your ethical questions. Like, why do we need anything in life? Can't we survive without coffee?
I don't know. I'm not willing to try at this point because, it's coronavirus. I'm not trying to give up the things that bring me
Yeah,
comfort.
exactly. Yeah, things that keep you going. Why to, mess with that? Aren't we already messed with all of this situation? How is it going there?
It's going pretty good. Yeah, just it just sort of like had one of those days where I felt like clawing at the walls like a cat stuck in a cage.
Oh,
And I think that what's happening to me is uh, dance withdrawal. It's not like I can't dance at home. It's not like I can't take a dance class online. And it's not that I'm not doing that at all. It's just that I miss being in a room with people and um, dancing.
I know, I know. It's not the same if you're dancing by yourself in a room. It's not the same, You have to get the vibe. You have to get to see everyone at the same space, same mindset. I missed a lot last year. Everything was closed in Barcelona as well. Here as well, there is no place to go anywhere. Just such a liberty we were enjoying. We never realized before you could
Yeah,
just go anywhere and dance. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, what other time in human history were we barred from being able to dance together? That's something that I'm thinking of and wanting to talk about with you because at the root of our conversation today is a question: why did we start dancing in the first place? And what kind of survival necessity could dancing have ensured? I don't know. I know this isn't exactly like either of our, I don't think we've studied this extensively. We're just curious about it, which, disclaimer, this isn't real science. It's just a conversation.
Speculations. It's just guessing out. Two girls just guessing stuff.
Just people guessing.
No, it's a good question. And you know why I said that? I remember when I was talking to you, I mentioned that why would somebody just jump around, And it's because I was reading this article and it was very interesting that in India, so the oldest known picture depiction of people dancing is found in these caves in India, which is like 40 kilometers from Bhopal, a city in central India, Madhya Pradesh. And there are people, it's a stick diagram or something where people are dancing. And next to it in the caves are, rhinoceros and jaguars, attacking people. So it was just maybe it made me wonder, people were struggling with all of these dangerous animals living there, and then there's still the picture of, people dancing. So it says something, like why would they dance? Why wouldn't they just hide, like animals do or octopuses, just like inside. And so yeah, that made me wonder that there's something. And it's not that it's just us. People would have been dancing all the times, probably, so perhaps since the humanity started. And it's good work. So I know. Also, I found a research article which was done on dancers. They sequenced, they collected a group of people who dance, and then the control group of people who don't dance or some other things, and they found these two genes coming up in the group of dancers. And those genes, they said, is like the closest genes related to those. So this kind of studies is done to, they do the genome sequencing, and
Okay.
then they compare it, the sequences they compare against a control group, and then they say which ones are sticking out, which genomic bases are different in this group, and then they normalize and everything. So it's
So a group of
um,
people who dance and a group of people who do not.
yeah.
Okay.
And then there were these two genes that came out, which was serotonin, and another one was a gene coding for vasopressin. These two hormones. What they do, serotonin, we all know is the happy hormone. No, it's like in the brain. Yeah, exactly. And the vasopressin is this blood pressure control hormone, antidiuretic. So it checks your keeps your blood pressure in equilibrium. It keeps basically the body's function in equilibrium. So, and then the title was that it might have helped ancient people in Ice Age to survive. It might have helped for people perhaps who were dancing, were able to be more communicative and social, and perhaps, I don't know, there must be
No,
some relation with
this
these.
is this is what I was wondering. Sorry to jump in, but I want to keep it like so that I can understand it because it's all very new to me. The Ice Age was like 11,000 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And probably a lot of people died, but then some survived. And are you saying those people were dancers?
It would be amazing. I don't know if all of them were, but this news article I can send you to. You can send it to the link. Was more like it might have helped for people who are socializing. So people who are dancing, socializing, perhaps seems less threatening. It could be one reason, and another that human beings have been in groups and social events. So perhaps if somebody is helping somebody out, or I don't know, some empathy, maybe human have this tendency not to see them as predator. I don't know what the relation was, but it was interesting that okay, this kind of speculation have been made. How can I send you a chat
I think
for the?
inside of this there's a private chat. Do you see on the right side of the screen?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I had never asked that question in my head before of or made the connection. Okay, yeah, dancing is kind of stupid. You're like, here I am, I'm moving around, I'm big and
See
weird,
me, don't touch me.
made of meat, eat me.
No, and yeah, I have so many things to talk about. It's just randomly coming out. My brain is just throwing out thoughts. So just entertain me for a bit. Another
Absolutely.
thing that Another thing that I'm wondering, it's not just this. Dancing is more like the spontaneous activity that people discovered. It seemed that the body. It's more like going. Um, so extending yourself out, it's like people might just discover that okay, it's not just this, I can extend myself out to to more of what I am. Maybe it's that just the discovery part, and yeah, it's more, there are so many layers to it. It's not just one answer. There is so much. If I have to stand out and go somewhere and pick something, I will just do this in this 3D structure, like, okay, I get out, I like a robot can do that, but you play a music and you cannot predict what the next step I'm going to take or you are going to do, or, how is your body going to react to the same music, how mine will react. So this unpredictability, spontaneity is a very integral part of human nature. Let us connect with something in us, and it seems, yeah, that also I mean, I also find that interesting. And these people who dances with these big whales and I don't know, these sticks, and there are so many different props that people use, and that
Yeah,
also,
sure. Like a scarf.
yeah, or anything, the people used to use, yeah, exactly. And in the dancing term, it's called, like, you have to use these props as is the extension of your own body, so it's not like you are just randomly throwing the whale. It's more like you are throwing your body out as well, so what you want to do with these props. So that's also something that we are trying to reach out. We're trying to extend ourselves beyond what this body we are, is limiting us to do.
Is there a, for genetic scientists, what is considered the limit of the human body? Like, where does it technically end? Is that a weird question?
For a human body, where does it technically end? It ends when your cells. I think the cells, each cell of our body has DNA, and just everything that is in the body has our DNA. Even one hair strand. It might be that you cut your hair and you throw it somewhere and somebody can find it and extract the DNA. So, oh, that's a good question. So then your body is could be just everywhere where your cells are, and the cells are just this tiny little thing, 3 trillions of cells in human body. So it could be
Well,
3 trillion replicas of you or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. Uh,
So I think maybe you asked this, but wait, okay, here's my question. Can you take us into a moment recently for you when you were dancing and maybe like just a strong dancing memory for you recently and how it felt and what it made you think about?
wow, it's like 1 year. I almost forgot that I used to dance anything. Oh yeah, it's coming to me now. I went to this beach. It was like a not a private, but in Calas in Barcelona, there are separate different Calas, and then there's just one resort or something, and they have beach to themselves. So it was very like inside 6 hours, 8 hours drive. Ignacio took me. Ignacio was going to
Oh,
his friend. I just joined in that. Let's go. So then there, I went to. So it was the moonlight, and after dinner, everybody went to their room, and I had this time, and I thought, why not to go to the beach? So I was walking around. It was beautiful. Nobody was there. Beautiful moonlight just dropping in on the sea. Such a beautiful sound of the sea, and it was just. I put my music and I was dancing, and it was. I mean, beautiful. It was beautiful experience. I think I danced like half an hour, 1 hour. I don't even know. It was just amazing. So this was, and also this was during COVID time, so I think it was, I had all of this in my body stored, that come on, like it cannot be. So yeah, that was very beautiful experience of just like having all the sea and this view to myself, and the moon in front of me, and yeah.
yeah, I mean, so that makes sense. I think at an essential level, just human beings need to feel connected to the rest of the surrounds.
Nature, right?
Or
Yeah. Yeah, if you see also, in a way, it seems to me we have like these two sides of ourselves. One also, ego persona, what we are talking, what we are doing, what our profession is. And another thing is very deep layer, to us, which is more like connected more to nature. So this looks like we are living two lives. One is more the outer, what we are, who we are, what we do. And another is just eternal. It just goes and goes and goes very long. This is like just one being one to something, and maybe we are accessing that, and we are trying to live, or we get the access to that when we are doing in this kind of activities, also music or any other. I mean, perhaps you also know, right, that when you are in the zone, it's different, it feels different, it feels this part is switched off, the rational, the mind, the logical brain is switched off.
yeah, it's very relaxing.
That's for sure.
Because it's just, there's too much to think about otherwise. I mean, there's so much going on in the world, and how do you find ways to move through it. These are some things that you said. I mean, you were writing them to me, I think, pretty stream of consciousness, but I will just repeat them back to you. You were saying that every cell within us is listening to the rhythm of our heartbeat, breathing, blood flowing, suspended in water. Which, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, what are cells doing? What are they up to?
Okay, first you're scaring me that you're going to read my thoughts like, just they just come out
No,
like
I don't
that.
know where that came from. It just came to me. It just came. You didn't write
Yeah,
it.
yeah, no, no, but okay, look, I don't know why I was thinking there was a topic to that. Yeah, maybe the topic was that in research, what we do is we take out the cells and we do experiment and, we predict things, how genes are behaving in cancer cells or other disease cell. So what I was wondering that it's not just replicating in the lab, from the cell line, to see what gene function is and what is not functioning, because the cells have different environment in the body. They're always, perhaps they are living to the rhythm of music. The heartbeat is a continuous rhythm, it's a structure, repetitive. And music is this, right? It's rhythmic, predictable, this thing of and the same for. So what I was thinking, why it came was like, the right experiment would be to put these cells in the same environment that is coming from the body. It's the same, to have this heartbeat, this blood, its suspension also is not, I mean, it's like in a suspended state. And is the connection again that I made with the human baby. When the babies are born, you have to pick them up and you have to keep on continuous back and to and fro. It's like they are coming from a place which is more like a suspension. They are listening music of this body, this rhythm of heartbeat, the blood flowing all the time. So, and now they're out in the open, there is nothing, just air, and perhaps noise of this bullshit car and traffic. And poor kids, what they will do? Of course they're going to cry, and of course you have to lift them up and you have to give them this beautiful, inner environment of just nothingness and just beauty and this suspension of just being there. It's a beautiful state. So that's why I've said that each cell in our body is grown into listening to certain rhythm and a certain state. And if we are doing the experiments, we have to give them the same environment to kind of find out what's working and what's not working. Maybe they are dancing, each of these cells inside the body, each of the DNA.
Yeah. Are they really meant to be so alone? That seems like a hard life for a cell. So currently, when you are looking at a cell and you take it out, you isolate it. I mean, that sounds really hard to do, but I imagine that people have figured out how. And then you work with it without its friends around and without.
So no, so what is happening in research is, because of course you cannot take out human cells. No, it's of course it shouldn't be permissible. I'm glad it's not. I mean, I'm glad there are ethical code. So what they do is they are continuous. So we have this cell lines, like breast cancer cell lines. I don't know if you know about HeLa cell lines. It's like they are continuous, replicating cells. Somehow they got this ability to not forever stay alive, these cells. This is a good point, when from the last question that you asked. So this HeLa cell is coming from a black woman in Africa, and nobody knew. She just donated. She had an ovarian cancer, and the doctor took out some cells and kept it in a petri dish, and then it seemed that it stayed dividing and dividing and dividing, and she has been died, I think, 100 years ago or more than that, and the cells are still in use for all sort of cancer experiments. She's still alive. There's a very beautiful book written on her, and nobody knew. Her family didn't know she had Henrietta Lacks. Her name was Henrietta Lacks. Her family didn't know that she had this legacy. Nobody, contacted their family. All of this research is based on most of, cancer. Most commonly used cell line were these HeLa cell lines, and they were just poor. I think somebody contacted them, and these people just didn't know. that they are big companies made out of this one person's cells. So what they do is to use these kind of cells that are forever replicating, and then they extract those. They treat them, based on what you want to test, and this is how they do the experiment. So it's not coming from usually from human bodies. But
Wow.
now, for example, sorry, it can go too complicated.
Well,
So I will leave
yeah,
here.
I mean, there's so much. I know that in medical history, there's so much negligent, unethical, historic, and I hope not current harvesting of information, cellular information from Black women and men, and it's just in bad ways. And I wonder how much of our science is based on those experiments. I don't know as much about it as you probably do, but
Yeah, there have been things, I mean, unethical things done, and that's why I mean, it was a necessity for having regulations in place. And good thing that is happening in science right now, that as soon as the technology comes, there are already policy makers and these knowledgeable philosophers, policy makers. They come together and they do, okay, let's have a regulation before it goes too far. I don't know if you know about CRISPR technology that came, that you can now gene edit, and insert your own. It's a fancy technology, CRISPR. So just when it was arriving, there were already ethical regulation in place, what you can do and what you cannot do, under what circumstances you can edit genome. And because in a way, what you're doing is playing with nature, playing with natural selection. So they are there, the diseases, whatever is here, it has been survived since millions of years of evolution, and suddenly you bring your technology and you start editing and cutting here and there. So and who knows where the limit is. Suddenly somebody wants, okay, I don't want this disease anymore, or I don't. And what do you define as disease and suffering? So it opens so many of channels. So I'm glad that there are ethical regulations now for any of this. AI field came, and then before it started progressing any further, there are already people who are regulating or making checks that, okay, let's hope it doesn't go too far. So it's nice that, I mean, right now, of course, in 100 years ago or something, there were no such thing. People were just. But I'm happy now that this people are considering this now.
yeah, it's I mean, what if we did treat like every medical specimen like a little baby to nurture, take care of? Like how would results change, or is that just some hippie talking? I wonder if you see any similarities in the way that genes pass down with the ways that language and dance passes down. Specifically
You mean
dance.
you mean like certain kind of culture specific expression of genes, like BSc culture specific expression of dancing, something like that, or universal dancing phenomena and
Maybe
gene dancing?
more specific.
Hmm. Oh, yeah. Okay. I remember that I watched this video of a history of dance one time, and then they were showing, they had this world map, and they were showing the style of dancing matching to the people, their sophistication of gardening or farming. So people who were using this iron tool, just like one dimensional, their dancing step was matching one dimensional. So they would just go up and down, or just hands like up and down. And then there was a second one was two dimensional, and that would be more like, their body will go like more this way, or the hip movements will be more round. And that was for people whose countries, the countries where it was more sophisticated farming technique, like they found they were growing rice or something, and they were using other tools to guard for the gardening. And then they were three-dimensional. Some countries, I think I remember that India was one of them. It was more like the sophisticated form of dancing was also because India has been always farming land, so agriculture was grown very long time ago. So these countries, they show, based on, so it was nice connection this person made, that dancing steps, people were kind of behaving the similar way what they are doing with their tools, so okay, but it doesn't okay, but the gene part, okay, gene part here is this, that the specific culture or the niche is coming from, it's passing down, so it could, I don't know if there is a genetic connection to that right now. I would like to know though.
Okay,
I would
so
like
here's my question: how does genetic expression pass down? How do genes pass down? What does it look like? This is kind of basics, but I'm wondering.
you mean like so genes, how do they pass down? You know that let's go to the very basic.
Let's go to
One
the
sperm
very
and
basics.
one so you know that the sperm has like half of our DNA, and the XLS other half. So in all our body, we have two, diploid chromosomes. So it's paired chromosome, except in sex cells. Sex cells are sperms and eggs. So in those we have just, so if this is the chromosome in all our body, this is the chromosome 1 in egg cell and the sperm cell. So then when of course the zygote formation happens, these are the two that meet, right? And then so one is the copy from the father and the one is copied from the mother, and they're meeting, and each one have their gene coding on them, and then they meet, and because they then they find out, okay, which one is dominant, which one is and then the expression of the gene. So the passing down would be then that they are forming their I don't know, diploidy, and they are being passed down. One interesting thing that has been is coming out. Before it was said that because these cells, they are sex cells, they are always protected. So for example, if you're a smoker, right, the mutation that will happen to your body, it won't be passed down to your next generation, because they are the mutations that are happening to your body, they are not happening to the sex cells, right?
Okay,
So it's,
you have these sex cells that are in place in your body. You get them from your parents. They are not changing. But then you live and things happen to you along the way. You start smoking, you start drinking, you start partying hard, or I don't know what you do, but your genetic structure can change during that period of your life. But that's not the sex cell. That's something very else, different.
the understanding was that, and to a certain level is true, but there are also now studies coming out of epigenetics, transference or transfer of information. So there was one study done on the people who were, generations 50 years ago, in the famine state. They were grown in the famine state, and perhaps they were in constant state of hunger. And then they studied the grandsons and daughters of these generation, and they found that they were obese, like certain, they had this obesity increased as what you will call as average, so then they speculated that this is because there is some kind of epigenomics memory transfer happening, that their body knows that they have to store food in their body, for certain famine condition. So this is interesting that earlier the understanding was that no, it is not transferred. However, there is certain there is this happening, but we don't know so much how.
You called it the epigenetic transfer of information. So not this is where in my imaginative science that's not real science.
No, I'm also let's imagine some stuff. I will feel more free if you're imagining, Okay, you go on, please.
Like, okay, so I live my life and I am I'll just tell the truth. Like I've been an avid square dancer. I've been a country two-stepper. I've been a waltzer. Um, I've done some swing dancing, and I was steeped in Breton music dancing, and these are movements that are caked into my body. So like when I hear the kind of song that I've had a social life dancing to and with, I know exactly what to do. My body says, yes, we know this one, grab a partner and go. And or like hop in the line of the of whatever dance kind it is, or just dive right into it. And it's what is surprising to me is like I'm really reminded of it by music, and maybe the memory wouldn't be there if the music wasn't stimulating it. This is okay. So I have these. Does that mutate my genes at all? Does that mutate my genes at all? If I like, do I get some epigenetic transfer of information, and do my gene structures change? Can I pass on like dance skills to my children if I have them? To my spawn.
It's I have thought about it a lot. It's not what you're saying, of course, and by the way, very, very beautifully said. It's I, for me, it's becoming more like, we kind of keep the memory of our ancestors in us. It seems to me that, where we are kind of starting our life where they have left, and in the whole humanity as well. Every generation is kind of expressing themselves, and then another comes and it expresses themselves beyond, it goes beyond. And if you cut it down to the family tree level, so definitely we are customized more on what's coming in our family, ancestor wise, and we are kind of tackling, we are starting from the where they have left. It seems to me that we are tackling more or less, no matter how your life goes here and there, you come back to the root of what the struggles and the achievements of my family were, and then it's somewhere there. So I think we store this information of and you see it in the kids as well. The people, creative, people have tendency of having kids that kind of have the similar thought process. I don't know if they use it or not. There are so many different aspects of psychology involved. I don't know if somebody's family, their father and grandfather are great artists. Their rebellious mode will be, no, I will do anything but art except art. So that could be. But I think there are we keep it in our body, in our cells, this memory of how our ancestry was, how our ancestors been, and we kind of carry forward that.
Yeah. Well, dance passes on through contact. You have to contact the information to be able to move in the tradition or in that style. Like you have to find a teacher, or you have to be taught by some nice old lady who wraps you in their arms and says, this is how you do it. And it's passed on person to person through contact in the moment. I mean, it's also happening virally, virtually, online as well, which maybe we can talk about in a little bit. But I don't know. There just seems to be something. I woke up in the middle of the night when I was thinking about talking with you, and I just had this idea of passing down in my head, that it's a structure, like a linear structure that exists in both like science and the language of traditional music transformed. And I just think it's interesting.
And it's the same way, of course, the music and has been passed down, right? So you see that do you see this chain of music happening? So in each culture, do you see some specific music style that has been like, okay, this generation came up to here, and then the next generation bring it a bit further and further. Do you see something like that in
Yeah.
music?
Oh, you cut out real quick. I hope you come back. Hey.
You said something, so I didn't understand.
Oh, you had cut out. Your video had cut out. But
Oh, okay.
to answer your
Sure.
question, I think that it's hard to study and hard to make assertions about the source material of music. It's made so complicated by the fact that like the origin and purity is far gone at this point. Like because it's like dream of like an isolated player of music and the singular only dancer ever left of one tradition is pretty much done. And I think that even if somebody is the next in a lineage of musicians or something of a certain tradition, that person is also influenced by the radio and by people they meet and who are not from that culture, and it can be very squirrely. The mutations of music are very squirrely.
Yeah. Yeah, and also where we are living, now there is no. I mean, we are living like everywhere, so it's the same for any music or art or anything expression wise. It's like it's a homogeneous distribution everywhere. Yeah, but it's a very. I mean, it's interesting to think if in the beginning, like what I was saying about dancing, that they found a similarity between their mode of agriculture and
Babita
tools.
is frozen.
Oh
Babita
shit.
froze and returned.
Oh shit. Do you hear me?
I hear you. I hear
Maybe
you.
maybe it's a signal or something that I should speak less, or I don't know.
No, speak more. I think that you're fine. What were you saying?
No, that I would. I mean, it would be interesting to know if right now, of course, as you said, everything is very homogeneously distributed. But when there were no communication happening, there was like groups of people just surviving in one part of the world and the other and then the other. So do we see this kind of distinct music origin of the place, like people on the mountains in Tibet, they have different form of just dancing and sing. So I don't know about music, but it could be universal, or it could be that they have their distinct flavor to it, based on where the civilization, which part developed, what kind of instrument they had, and what kind of thinking they had, what kind of language, because languages also are interesting, that how each countries has their style of language developed, so there must be. Okay, anyway, I should say
What
this.
you were saying that was so interesting. You were describing learning the footwork to Kathak dancing. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but the kind of dancing that you're just starting to learn now back in India, and the similarity between the language, spoken language, and the rhythms of the dance. And I was wondering if you could talk about that, how similarities between the language and the dance of a place or people.
Yeah, I don't know why this thought came to me. Let me go back. The similarities between the dances. It's because when I was learning Kathak, what I do when I'm traveling somewhere or living somewhere, it's I try to get the flavor of or the understanding of that culture is more through dance also. Like it's because I'm very bad at languages. I'm very slow. I cannot learn very quickly. So one thing that people have given also, like when I was learning tango, or I started because I was just fascinated by this body language of girls and the guys who are dancing. It's just so it's passion, but also very elegant, and how they're holding all of this together. And especially I was fascinated by women. Also in India we don't have this kind of we don't have, as in it's not very I will not go into very politically stimulated sentences, but I found it different than my own culture, so I wanted to grasp that. Okay, I this is something I'm liking. So it's the same. I made the connection when I was learning Kathak. Was the music is different, the beats and everything. It's like so well calculated and organized, and it seemed to me that I'm dancing to a completely different frame. It was completely different. So I was just amazed at how much does it call this form more on Indianness in something. The classical structure is not just Kathak but also Bharatanatyam and Odissi. All of them follow certain frame structure. So that made me curious that are we talking? This is the language. Are we talking certain way? And can you tell, based on how these people are talking, where they are dancing, that they are coming from this place, or this. So perhaps that's why this thought came to me, and I mentioned it to you.
There's a I was reading an interview between Tom Waits and Beck, two American musicians. They were talking about what songs remain in circulation, and Tom Waits said something like, if you want your song to survive and be a hit forever, you probably want to write a song that people jump rope to. Like jumping rope, because it's the thing that's passed down. I mean, I'm sure they're still doing the similar kinds of songs on the playground. Oh, there's no school right now. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. Are jump roping songs dead? You know what's not dead though? Happy Birthday. Happy Birthday is the perfect song because it is combining action, partying, blowing out some candles. I don't know if that is a mondial, worldwide practice or not, but also a event, a ritual.
Yeah. I like what you said. So Tom Waits said that you want to write a song that's more like jumping on rope. It's such a beautiful thought. It's more like you want to write a song for very universal language or universal thing, right? That's what you said for Happy Birthday. Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point. That's something that is universal. You want to get that. You want to grasp that. What is the universal constant thing in each human? You remove the borders. You remove the what is that one thing, and you want to touch that. Isn't that the dream of every creative person? To connect with that, the one thread.
Yeah, to be the one true hit maker. You know who wrote a great song? You know what song is a great song? Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. And then in French, tête, épaules, genoux et pieds, genoux et pieds. Like it just works in multiple contexts. Everyone has a body. I don't know. It's diffusion.
Everyone has five fingers. Yeah, exactly. That again remind me. Who are the best songwriters? I would say the one who write babies lullabies. They are kind of, imagine you're giving a kid who doesn't know anything about music, but you are making it such soothing and such harmonically accurate and perfect that this kid is able to sleep. So perhaps they have got it. They have got to understand what how can they replicate this beautiful, safe, environment of the womb, of the mother womb, through their lullabies. It's perfect.
Exactly. I mean, okay, here's my question. When you are in the womb as a baby and you're listening, are you hearing the muffled sounds outside of the skin of the womb as music? Is it all muffling together? Tom Waits has amazing quotes for days, but another thing he said is that like the best way to listen to music is through a wall.
How? Through a wall?
Through a
How?
wall. Like there's something so relaxing about this separation. Maybe it's similar to the way that we heard sound as little fetuses.
Ah, wow, that's a good point. Okay. Through a wall, through a separation of something, like a membrane, through a separation of membrane. Yeah. Wow. Interesting. And why would he say that? What do you think? Why?
Because he's a god and a freak. I don't know. I'm clearly revealing my obsession like too much right now, and I'm going to stop quoting Tom Waits. Or sort of.
What's your favorite song by Tom Waits? Or your couple of favorites? I don't know.
I have so many favorite songs by him, but last week I was sitting around a fire and we listened to Rain Dogs in its entirety. And there's this really good song on there. And it was a surprising hit. Oh crap, I'm forgetting it. But I don't know. I love a lot of his music.
You know which one I like?
Which one?
Oh, there's but okay, I like this one. I hope that I will fall in love with you. And Martha, would you like to play something?
Yeah, sure. I'll try to play. I hope that I don't fall in love with you, but guess what?
No, whatever. It's not, I mean, your favorite.
Let's see. Oh, this one is let's do a little bit of if you need to if at any point, Babita, you need to take a break, I can always just sing a song.
Please. Let's do that.
You just woke up.
Please keep going if you want to.
I'm singing the song. It's time it was sung. I've been putting it off for a while, but it's harder by now. The truth is so clear that I cry when I'm seeing you smile. So goodbye, so long. The road calls me dear, and your tears cannot bind me anymore. Farewell to the girl with the sun in her eyes. I'll kiss you, and then I'll be gone. Every time that I try to tell you that we lost the magic we had at the start, I would weep my heart when I look in your eyes and search once again for the spark. Goodbye, so long. The road calls me dear, and your tears cannot bind me anymore. Farewell to the girl with the sun in her eyes. you, and then I'll be gone. I'll kiss you, and then I'll be gone.
Sorry, I was speaking, my mic was off. Beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
really love it.
Yes, we're over here just talking about jeans, and we're singing and dancing, and we're talking about dancing, and we're talking about jeans. Babita, can you identify a specific similarity between the way you dance and the way you speak in any language?
Wow, yeah, randomness. I speak random things, like whatever is coming here, I just blurt it out without thinking. Okay, I don't know similarity, but I'm going to. So this is the thought speaking part, right? And the dancing part is that I have noticed that I need to break the structure. So if my teacher is teaching something, or my friend is teaching me something, I will follow it like for 2 minutes. But then the third minute, I have to do something of my own, and then from the fourth minute I will start following them again, so just not to offend them. But I cannot stay in a structure, and I think my speaking, but that's a very good question. I never thought of this, and realizing my speaking is also this, unstructured. So one thought from here and one thought from here, and whatever it creates. And I pity people who are listening to me, that okay, what is she saying, from where to where? A very good question. I never thought. Wow.
Let me think about that. Yeah. Okay. So like here's a classic song. Down in the valley so low. Hang your head over, hear the wind blow. How has that integrated into my speech? It's definitely integrated into the way that I move around. I think inside of my brain, there is always this kind of lilting waltz song happening at all times. And I find that dancing a waltz is my favorite dance. Does American English that I speak reflect a waltz? When you are listening to my language, does it sound like it could be a waltz? How do I speak? What am I saying?
I would say that there could be a bias to what you're singing based on what it's like, not unconsciously, what you were given when you were a 2-year-old kid or 3-year-old. So you registered this. It could be, but also sometimes you find people, they play something and then they find out, oh, this kind of, or play something or think something, and they found, or imagine something, and they found out, oh, this one has some symbolic significance in Egypt, or just saying, there are imaginations. Sometimes a picture comes to you, and you don't know what that is, and suddenly you find out that in some random part of the word is, this has been symbolically used for this. So there are two things. One is that we might have this bias for what we are going to sing or dance based on what unconsciously, even without knowing, we fed in ourselves. And another thing is this eruption of universal connectivity in some ways, and that's why I like dreams a lot, because dreams is something very universal, symbolic language, it seems to me, because there has been images that in your culture perhaps there is no significance. Like for example, owl. Owl is a very good example for me, because owl in India is considered a very um, like fool. Like a fool you will call owl. Like you think like an owl would be like you think like a fool. And in the Western world, like in Europe, owl is very like a symbol of wisdom, and so
Dude,
it's
owl is so important that it's one of the tattoos that I have. Oh God, how could I
exactly.
ever tell you?
No, exactly. And in my dream, it appeared owl, like it's teaching me something. And it was such a, like, it. So even though consciously I know it from my country that owl is this symbol of this, you would call somebody an owl because they are stupid. So, and then when in my dream it appeared, it was like such wisdom symbol that I connected more with that than what I have been fed. So that was very interesting that there are two kinds. So one is what unconsciously we have, what the memories we are taking, and one that we already somehow a universal connection that we keep in. It's very interesting. So 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 back to your question, that what you were singing, is it only you can tell if it has been the influence of your what you have been listening, or it is just some eruption of your own unconscious.
Yeah. Oh, I'm thinking that people miss having multi-leveled experiences out in the world together. And I see this manifesting as there's really weird playlists on YouTube that are, this is honestly like one of the names of them. Oldies music, but it's raining outside. And it's just like an hour long of like muted oldies soundtrack, like old songs from the 40s playing in what sounds like another room with rain.
Ah, really?
And it's like, okay, there's this whole atmospheric thing happening where people don't
Ah,
just want to listen to music for the songs. People want to listen to music for the experience it replicates by and large over like
wow.
an hour. Uh,
Wow.
and there's even, oh my God, do you know the politician in America, Bernie Sanders?
Yes. I
He's
love
like,
Bernie. I think you should have watched.
I love, I love him. I always have since I found out about him. And people love him so much that they've put uh, his just speeches from any point in his life, because he's been saying the same thing as a politician for his whole time, putting that to lo-fi music and like playing it in the background. So people,
Really
it's
interesting.
like background, it's like elevator music.
Wow. Yeah, it's adding layers to it. So what, imagine if in future the music would be like more like giving you an experience, like more, something like a wholesome. So it will be music, but also your mother shouting at the back, "Don't stay in your room, come out of your room," something like that. It's
Exactly.
yeah. So it's like the wholesome experience of being, maybe being, as in you want to replicate the moment which was true to you, or you want to go back to something that was yeah, like a wholeness. Very interesting. I never thought that there are playlists like this. So perhaps this is what we are heading toward for the creative people, to create a thread of music, or I don't know, painting, but also something beyond, something more that you can encapsulate it around.
Yeah, you're creating the membrane as well as the information inside.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
I felt really proud of that, like like that science.
Wow. That's interesting, huh?
Um, okay, this was my next question that I have planned out for you, but it's kind of related. What does it mean that we, by and large, are not together and not dancing together? And if dancing together, was an element of our survival at one time? What might it mean that we are not dancing together now? Doom?
Yeah, do you remember that I also told you, which I was very proud, that from Homo sapiens to the survival of Homo sentient, that sentient would be, so where it seems to me where we are heading is more like, the sapiens. So among all Homo, whatever species, Homo genovians, Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, so the sapiens survived, right? So it's the same, it seems to me, that the sentient would be the one that we are I think you're listening in the kitchen. There are some
That's
things that
okay.
go.
We're all about atmosphere, texture.
Yeah, exactly. So what I meant is, what I'm observing is the culture is becoming very individualistic, and I don't know how this trend started. Maybe that is the best expression of humanity. Maybe this is what it is going towards, when people are able to express themselves. Like the best of what they can, how they can express is through it taking individual journeys and individual paths and finding the best out of themselves, and expressing in that way. Maybe that is the thing, but what I find that humanity has been survived, or the biology is the group, like social, so so the balance of that would be important, and to find connection, and also that makes us realize that even if we are making our separate journeys and our separate discoveries, and very trying to make the best of the individuality that is there, but there is still the common thread that is kind of tying all of us. And what this dancing is, this Buddhist monks, or this do they, there's a circular structure they take, and then they are just moving. It's such a nice depiction of humanity, that like we are like this. So even if we think we are separate, we have this in us. So the togetherness and dancing, that should definitely be there while we are making. So I don't know. So I like reading Carl Jung a lot, and he has made one quote, which is, "Temple of the humanity will be created only when each of us are making our own pillar." So if we are making our own pillar worth standing, then only a temple of the humanity can be created. So we need a temple of something whole, but we need the pillar, the foundation to be strong as well. And the foundation can be only be stronger when we are working on ourselves, each of us. But perhaps the togetherness of dancing represents this temple.
Yes. Yeah, okay. So this is something I was wondering about dance and individuality. Like, you see it with dances that are replicated and continue on, is that there's a form, there's a structure, but then there's the individual making choices and having their own styles. So like over in Brittany, where I was with the Breton people and their music and dance, they're like, we don't know how many dances there are, because there's as many dances as there are people, because everybody's their own individual variation. And I know that that's a word that's used in genetics, genetic variations. I don't know if they're necessarily seen as a positive or negative, but I do know that coronavirus variations are seen as very negative. And is there any way to think about these variations as positive, or is that just that just does not apply? I don't know.
Look, the success story for virus will be like, we are seeing it as negative because it's affecting us, but virus is just thriving. Virus must be happy that, look, I can change quickly, and some of these are surviving. So for virus is like 100% success story. So don't be so selfish thinking about humans. No, I mean, so what I found out in the studies is, like, the variations that we see are just tiny, minuscule, that they survived. The UK variant, the Brazil variant. However, the variations, like millions, the eruptions are happening. It's a 30,000 base pair genome. So ours, just to give you reference, ours is 3 billion. So our letters in the genome coding is 3 billion, and the virus letters is 30,000. So it's so small, and still it is positioned. It's trying trial and error. It's trying to mutate and mutate and mutate and sees what fits. Then okay, it becomes the big variants, like UK variants of Brazil, and there are so many that didn't fit. But the good thing about virus,
we imagine like a virus of like 30,000 letters in a
letters.
sequence.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, shoop, I can go into this 30 million letter strand.
Billion, yeah.
Billion,
3 billion, yeah.
3 billion versus 30,000, and then change the whole look of that.
The viruses, I mean, they're so smart, seriously. It's just a pity, but because we are seeing it from the human perspective, that okay, they're bad people. But if you see it from the virus perspective, evolutionary, it's insane how smartly they replicate. They insert this 30,000 their own genome into human or animal, any cell. They insert it in their genome, and then they use the machinery of the human to replicate themselves. So they have to bring nothing, just one strand of their RNA or DNA, and then they just insert it, and they are replicating, and inside the body, inside the host. So for them, it's working out good. Like okay, they have figured out you don't need anything, just a minimalistic lifestyle of one copy of RNA or DNA, and that's it. What else do you need for survival? It's just us that we are looking for house and whatever and like making our life messier and complicated.
Going on trend.
But sorry, can I go back to the question? Why what was the first part of it? Because I know that the virus part was there, but I'm missing, I think, the first question. Like why we were talking about virus. I love talking about virus because I've been working since last year on this. So I like to. So that's why I think I got distracted.
There it is. The virus is taking over. It's just like, I'm here. Derail the whole conversation.
But I'm realizing I shouldn't be smiling talking about virus because it's not. It doesn't look nice. But when I think it from the scientific, from the biology perspective, I just find it fascinating that how these people have figured out, how to. Yeah, just that. Okay.
I don't remember what the last train of thought was. There's something about like if we're not dancing right now together, and that was so necessary for our survival, potentially, a hypothesis, during the last ice age, then what does it mean that we can't do it right now? I mean, unless they're in serious cases of enslavement and bondage, have been able to move and dance and be together.
Yeah.
Is this the first time in human history where that's not happening?
Yeah, and maybe what you said, maybe this will challenge us to find the alternatives of not the dancing, but alternative expression of the same dancing. What you said about the music as this whole experience, maybe we'll find another way of dancing. But so one thing that I will not say I liked, but one thing that I found interesting was
I was not happy. I didn't like it. I loved it.
No, that this lockdown, it kind of challenged everyone in the world to come out and think different of something, because really we created this, our comfort zone, or what we are and who we are. And this just 1 year of this challenged and made people think something more or something beyond. It's interesting, of course it was challenging and depressing as hell, and so much jobs are lost, and so many things that could go worse went worse. But also this 1 year, maybe we will not find it again, like the people from our generation, this kind of thing people from older generations, they have seen war and famines and such harsh conditions, and perhaps so many revolutions started from there, so many thought processes started from there, the art culture started from there. Cabaret, I heard that entire dance form started during the World War I or World War I, when people thought we are anyway going to die, so why not to enjoy life.
Wait, what
So
started? What did you say?
I think cabaret dance form,
Oh yeah.
or
Uh-huh.
some one of these variations of this dance form, I realized that started when people thought that we are all going to die in wars anyway, so why not to just enjoy and dance music and dance. So in our generation's lifetime, perhaps this is our war-like situation where all of us just stopped, and it forced us to think and to find alternative ways. So dancing perhaps is one of them that we could think. Are you dancing in the lockdown?
This is a great question because I was I was doing some dancing on my own, or like in the apartment, or like in Santa Pau out in the field by myself, kind of like your moon experience on the beach. But then when I got back to America, I connected with my sister and we learned a viral TikTok dance. And this is so significant because the dances replicate in the exact same way that the coronavirus does. Like it's a
Oh,
30,
really?
yeah, it's like a 30-second clip created by a creator who's maybe, famous or not famous, a child, perhaps an adult, doesn't matter. And they dance out something and it comes out on TikTok, and then people pick up on it and they're like, oh, I'm going to try that. And they put the song on and they dance in their own homes. And then the dance gets seen by more and more people, or the song is popular and someone looks up what's the dance to the song. Anyway, people start making videos of themselves doing the dance, and so people are dancing together in the same ways with the same steps, but they're doing it remotely and passionately.
And by the way, you have to show me this clip. You need to show me this clip. And it makes me wonder that we think we are alone, but actually we are all connected all the time. We have never been this connected before in the human history that we are now.
Yeah.
So it's not that we are, so things are happening as they were. We are just connected all the time.
I'm trying to find the TikTok dance that I learned, but I can't remember my TikTok.
And is it so you dance with your sister? So
yeah,
you improvised.
We danced together. We did not improvise. We learned the dance from people on the cell phone who transmitted it to us through a screen, and we were just in the living room together, like replicating the moves. I can't do it now. It's completely gone from my brain, but I learned a lot of new dance moves that I see the younger generations like just know very fluently. And there's a viral dance vernacular and a culture that exists of dancing together.
Can I ask you one question that you asked me to repeat to you? What was your most memorable dancing experience?
The most memorable dancing experience that I had recently was at the end of December in the middle of Brittany, like a very dark center, kind of like the most rural of the rural, and at a dance in the off season. So it's just like the people who are really, really obsessed with this one dance called the gavat. like this is the place where the Gavat lives, is from, sees its population doing it the most. And it's like a simple dance, and it's repetitive, and all you do for this whole night was dance Gavats. And whenever the Gavat type of song came on, people would just be in heaven. I mean, you can't, how long can you do this dance for? I don't know. But it was not the point. It's not like a fun thrill for a moment. It's a collective moment of trance. And
Wow, really?
I really felt it. I really felt it. I was just with like a friend and between people who had been doing this for a really long time and just really love it. And like the true practitioners and carriers of this dance at the center of where it is from in the world on a very cold night, smushed in, and also like energetically right before coronavirus when all of that would stop happening. Which is not like they knew that was going to happen, but maybe somehow there was that knowledge that this was a really pertinent time. And here's what I felt. I felt my body turning off, like my mind turning off, and my body just completely absorbed into the rhythmic movement of the line, because it's a circle dance, it's a chain. It looks like a gene. and just feeling from within this deep exhilaration.
Wow.
Deep exhilaration. Like, oh my God, I'm writing something. Like, I am being danced. I am not dancing. I am being danced. And
Beautiful.
But it's like I looked up and I felt it. I was feeling it. I looked up and I felt it. I looked into the other people's eyes around me, and they were all feeling the same thing, and just everyone let out a collective like, like
but see, you nailed it. I mean, this is what we were talking about, like why people were dancing in the first place. Maybe this. I mean, this is beautiful what you're describing. Why wouldn't anybody want this experience? Beautiful.
I don't know.
I wish I was there. Because it was coming to when you were describing one, I had similar experience in one concert in Catalonia, and I had no idea of this dance form or music style. I'm forgetting. I think it was ska music. Do you know this music? Ska, I think it's called. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. It could be, but the thing is, SCA. But anyway, I'm mispronounced because it was a long time ago. But everybody was so excited that, oh my God, these bands, they're going to perform ska and this, and I was like, what is it? What is it? And then suddenly when it started, people started jumping and bumping into each other. Just like, okay, I was, what is happening? What is happening? And then somebody just pulled me in the crowd, and apparently you have to dance and just, push each other and dance and jump. It was hilarious and beautiful and everything together. The brain was just like, what's happening? But so it was a nice discovery. So I'm picturing what you're describing is like just this experience of, when your mind is just off and everything else is happening around you and you're looking and being part of it.
That is it's so funny. I thought you were talking about like an ancient traditional dance ska, but actually you're just talking about like 90s ska, 80s, 90s ska music. Like
SKA, yeah, I didn't know about this at all. And everybody was like, wow, there were like bands playing and like, wow, this is so it was fascinating for me to experience that.
Yeah, I think it's like a permission to move. I mean, especially in a dance that's kind of like borderline violent, or like I've done a lot of moshing, similar in a mosh pit, just like, oh my God, ow, like I'm bleeding. And being able to do that without fear of somebody like, you can't do that, you're being violent. But it's just like, no, I have this frustration and this pent up shit, and I want to get it out, and this is the culture that I am from, and so we do it here together, and it has a space. And I mean, maybe that's part of why dance is essential to the survival of human beings or Homo sapiens, is instead of killing each other, we danced it out.
Whoa, wow, it's getting darker. It could be, huh? I completely agree. And perhaps the best way humanity, if this is why, then this is the best way humanity has found to live with each other. Then very subtle, yeah, not being so obvious that I want to kill you, but let's dance together.
Yes.
That's
Birds
what.
do it. So what do
What?
you think about viral dances online? Dances that go viral.
That they are resonating with something for that moment. The problem with this viral thing is that it's very quick, so we don't know what the trend is happening. It's one day from another is changing, so we don't know what the collective conscious or this collective humanity is moving towards, because so fast. But of course, anything that goes viral, it's for a good marketing people, if they can find out pattern from them, it's like this is where what is becoming the necessity of of the collective conscious, like to what is happening. That's why this is going viral. Okay, now this, so you can find out the pattern of where kind of we are moving towards. So, and the digital media, this has given us tool to study this eruptions of trends of humanity. A good AI, if we could develop, it could have predicted the next 100 years how it's going to be, just by seeing the trend of the viral memes and viral videos. This is resonating with people at some level.
Yeah, but I think it's like you were saying at the beginning, like it's really difficult to replicate the way we sing or the way that we dance. There's an intangible quality about it, and I think that's the same with meme culture and viral culture. Is advertisers like study it and try to make memes and fail because like this happened
Because
recently to McDonald's because they just like can't harness the.
exactly, they cannot, but a good mind who can see the pattern from up above can really do wonders with this. If you're seeing it with the granularity level, you are not going to see any pattern. But I'm sure there is something there. Why? And also, these marketing companies, seriously, they try to replicate all of this meme into their, corporate style, some advertisement, some shoes or something, and they will put. It doesn't resonate. It resonates with something original somebody did for one time, and we don't know right now. We don't know what will become viral and what not, right? Even if so, but there's some information there. I would have. I've never thought. I would have liked to think about it. What is the information? What is the fingerprinting that we are seeing, and what is this collective psyche is telling us?
I don't know.
Okay, we don't need to know everything.
I mean, we know pretty much everything, but yeah, some things remain a mystery. Oh, people dance alone. People dance alone now. Um, there is a Instagram page called Influencers in the Wild, and it's just people taking pictures or videos of people making videos and pictures, like often of them doing viral dances. Like it's really odd. It's really odd to see somebody on the sidewalk doing a dance. But then you're like, okay, there's the camera, there's the context, this is going out into the world. But if that apparatus wasn't there, you just be like, that is a crazy person. And they will they're like a threat or a danger, and maybe that would be like a dangerous activity for a human being to do.
Is this the trend? Like, you mean that they know that there is a camera, but they are dancing as if that they are dancing without there is camera, like some kind of setup happening. What kind of
No,
trend is this?
it's hard to explain. So I'm making a video and I'm in a parking lot alone, doing my dance that I've learned from other videos. And across the street, you see me and you're like, look at that freak. And then you take a video of me making my video.
Okay.
So that you make would go, you could submit it to influencers in the wild.
Oh.
And then it's an account to ruminate on the fact that like people are doing this and it's weird.
I see what you mean. I see. I follow certain on Reddit, Instagram reality or something like that. So it's like they show the Instagram picture how it came out and the reality and something. So I see. Okay, this is like that. Interesting. I would like to follow that page, just to yeah, that how weird it looks. The one in the front face and everything showy and beautiful and perfect, and then the how it is that also that what these influencers are willing to go through, to make content. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, they're making content, but perhaps, I mean, I don't know, like I mean, they are daring themselves continuously. They're putting themselves out there without any inhibition. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And putting themselves out there in a way that I think previously, without a camera present, without the internet, would have been dangerous to them from an evolutionary perspective. Like they could have been imprisoned or attacked or something. But now there's this understanding of, oh, that person's making something for the internet. They're okay. In fact, they might be famous.
Yeah, but rewarding has gone wrong, our reward system. Also for ourselves and how we are giving reward to others, Everything has become very quick, like this dopamine, very mouse and monkey brain style. That there are so many experiments on mouse neurology done with this, that one of these experiments was this dopamine release that they give. I don't know what chemical they were giving, that at one point this mouse got so addicted that it was just constantly pushing the liver constantly, that it died. I think just keep pushing the liver to get more of this dopamine chemical that they were giving it. So and this technology is playing with that part of our brain, because we have the same system and we have other system as well, and you need to bring out other system as well. But what they are doing is to play, they have touched precisely that part. And if you are, I don't know, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, you're just starting, imagine you just activate that part of your brain and not the other things. You will behave like a mouse in this experiment, that is constant feeding. So, and then you will reward the things where you're getting these feed from, right? So that's what the rewarding system for influencers are. They are willing to I don't know, jump from high buildings or whatever, is because they are getting rewarded for that, and we are making them. So it's dual play.
Yes. And now, because most people are inside and cannot, I mean, just limiting the context to dancing, cannot go out and dance with others necessarily. They're like a young person probably only connects dancing with the dopamine release and like the desire to be famous or seen, recognized through the social media apparatus. Like it's not the same dopamine release as like I felt dancing in that circle or you felt dancing under the moonlight. Like it's
It's very drug. Yeah. It's like we take pills and the pain is gone. That kind of very quick relief sort of thing. Another thing that came to my mind, I just forgot it. It was very interesting to wonder about. It will come again. But yeah, this quick relief, quick entertainment, quick everything. Oh yeah. I remember one. I mean, my friend, one of my friend kids I was seeing is just like 3 year old or 4 year old, and he kind of climbed onto something, a tree. Yeah, and then I was amazed, like, wow, this kid, look, it just went to the so quickly and this, and then once he was there, he was like, mom, take a picture, take a picture. So for me, it was like, okay, the best reward for this kid is not like the appreciation, but take a picture. So this is how kids are associating any best performance or any best thing is once you take a picture, that's like the end of the story. That you validated that. So this is what our next generation will be looking like. Take a picture, everything that you have done best.
Yeah. And oh, I don't know. I mean, I think it's really easy to be like, that's bad. But at the same time, I think that there's something important happening about viral. Okay, like the delocalization of things like music and dance. Like now somebody in Serbia can do a dance that somebody in Barcelona replicates, that somebody in New York City and also replicates. Like it's a delocalized dancing situation right now. And what I wanted to ask you about your work. You were talking about work with like a European genome project, like mapping the genome for each region. Like, I mean, sorry, country. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so because I work in EGA, European Genomics Archive, it's more like it's a archive for collecting. So all these genomic experiments that are happening. So what they do is to store that data, so that it provides this ethical. Nobody should access this because they are identifiable data. So you need to provide storage for that. And one of the projects that is participating is beyond 1 million genome. So it's like at least we need what before it was at least we need 1 million genome sequencing to be able to predict anything, to be able to say anything about human genome with confidence. So this was, and then now the project got extended for beyond 1 million. So it's not just 1 million, and there are different European countries. I think 27 countries are participating, 20 or 27, something like that. And there is an agreement that each of this country will sequence their population and store their data to EGA. So this is where because these European countries were participating. This project that you're talking about is that each European country, which is not that if you're German, so you have to define what German is, then only you can go sequence. It will be the population living in Germany, and the same for Portugal or France. And but with that, we will what we can do is we will try to see if there is certain similarity or pattern or something from population from these countries. We participated in Catalonian genomic project. It's not to define what Catalonia genome will look like, but it's more like creating a reservoir that is coming from these specific places.
So to create the map of the genome of the place by amalgamating from a bunch of different people.
Yes, and it is important. We think this is what that's where. So it is important because the variations in human genome, it's not well studied, and especially the modern medicines that are being made on the population specific to Western countries, because this is the countries they can afford to do research on their population genomics. So for example, countries like India, Asia, Africa, we don't have so much information of their genome. So, and we kind of predicting that one medicine based on these genome sequencing that we are seeing what we have is universal, it will work universal population, and it doesn't work because there are certain variation, like in African, they are more African origin people are more susceptible to certain kind of diabetic variant, that is not. So we need to study each of these clusters of population or ethnicity to find out what they are more susceptible to, or what they are more um, they are given more favor, favorable to. So all of, and that can be only possible when there is a global cluster, mini clusters of the word that we have, and we can identify, okay, and then you can make more personalized sort of medicine having towards belonging to this certain ethnicity, certain origin. So that's why it is important. And still we are talking about, still it is the European genomics. This needs to be replicated, and it is being replicated to different countries depending how much they can afford. So for example, we are talking about 1 million in Europe. In India, I think it has been just started, but I think it's in thousands, so 100,000 or something. But I hope we eventually go there and we kind of have the data from different and the other countries help each other out. So it's not that only if your country can afford to do research, then only people, we get to do some science out of it, otherwise not. No, it should be more like helping each other out, because then eventually you will be helping um, to find out the right treatment and right medicines for all of us. Some, is it getting too political?
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering, like, how does this not slip into exactly like really dark territory of being like, this is what I mean, because people are messy, people go across borders, there's like such a, like, the word ethnicity with regard to a country is so, you know.
Exactly, but exactly, but we do need to cluster people into certain ethnicity, because because the genomics cluster. There is no denying to that. Of course, the political thing is more. We have the humans have added layer to it. Okay, no, you go back to your country. That's humans are doing that. But biologically, we have to separate these two things. Biologically, the genes, the genome of certain population cluster together. The Chinese, you can cluster Chinese population. You don't, what we do in fact in EGA is we take the data blindly, and then we run algorithms, and then we see what cluster group it is creating, and it creates very distinctly Chinese cluster, Latin American. You can, so there are other, you can tell. But of course, now based on that, if you say, no, I mean, your genome is from China, go back to China. No, this is humans, stupid humans are doing this. But it shouldn't hinder, because of this, what we created from our limitation, it shouldn't hinder the universal process of personalized medicines, or at least understanding more the variations and how they have accumulated, or they are affecting us, or what will work and what will not work. So they are two separate things, but people tend to see it together somehow.
Sorry, you cut out in your very last sentence.
I'm saying that they are two separate things, and
Yeah.
one is more like political and what the word is created because of our human limitation, and another thing is that is integrated in biology. That is, there are variations, and we need to study that because it. So in Africa, the sickle cell disease is highly prevalent in African countries, because in a way they were giving some immunity for malarial diseases, malaria. So that's why because malarial mosquitoes were found more in Africa than in Europe. So they have a variation which gives them more prone or higher chances for sickle cell disease. So we need to study this variation, and you have to cluster the the country ethnicity to study that. And there is no political there shouldn't be any political or judgmental or whatever restriction occurring to it, because because what happened or what happened in the history or whatever. No? So what I'm trying to say, there are two separate things, but biologically we need to study small clusters of variations that divides people in clusters. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, it's really it's a slippery slope because of the way that we being like the vast population of human beings, don't have an understanding of science that is A, respectful of scientists and science, and B, very informed at all. And I guess what I hear you saying is like, yeah, you do need to study specific clusters that could be called ethnicities, that could be called like the ethnicity of a country, because there's it just help like the overarching goal is treat people better and more effectively for
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And all of us will benefit from that. One thing, for example, that I heard, so that, when patients go to the hospital, they have to collect data. And we don't, and these data that comes to us with their genome, right? So one of the most important thing that doctors don't ask to people, and they cannot ask, is where are you from, or which ethnicity you belong. If somebody is living in Spain and they are from Latin America, but I don't know, they usually doctors don't ask, and this is such a valid information, such important information to give when you're submitting a genomic data set, which ethnicity this genomic data set is, so that it gives an added layer, for the analysis, that okay, then we will analyze this cluster together, something like this. So we are not able to get proper data just because of our political human limitation of what we have created. What we have created, why is being from one ethnicity is bad and being from another is good, or vice versa. This is what human structure, this is human creation. It's not biological
yeah.
creation. Biological information is very true and real, and we need to access that truth.
Yeah, so musically, entertainment wise, we're in the era of more context is better, and create the membrane around the membrane around the membrane. You're not only listening to a song, you're listening to a song through a wall on a rainy day in a green and luscious pasture. Like, you need to know more information to be able to provide a higher quality of care, I guess is what I'm hearing in terms of.
Wow, quite a summing up together. Nice.
Ooh.
Whoa. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, why do we have to just still weaponize data and information? Like, why?
Yeah, why? And at least, like in science, at least we should leave all of this political whatever thing, no, because it won't help anyone. Like, not even what we think that's even 1% will get benefit. No, it doesn't. It will just be, it will create generic and average science. And you know what average science is? Like average data. So average, speaking of the average, then each humans, it's a joke that average speaking, every human being has more than, no, less than two legs or less than two arms. Averagely, every human has one boob and one testicle. That's the,
Yeah, it's an average. It's not accurate.
that's the average science. We don't want to go there. That will be a terrible mistake.
I got you. It's like, yeah, it's like pastel. I don't know. There's this show that's very popular right now called Bridgerton. Do you know about the show? It's like on Netflix and it takes place in Regency, England, and it's very like dreamy. Racism doesn't exist. Black characters playing roles that like typically you would have seen only white people in, but then the show isn't about race at all. It's just kind of like, it was described on a video, I think, as like pastel post-racialism or something. Like it's like, okay, what that passes on is that in the late 1890s maybe there wasn't racism or something, or there wasn't a active like slave economy in England, and I might have the dates wrong. I haven't watched the show. I don't know anything about this. I'm sorry. But just sort of like this dream and a desire for unity and pleasantry and depoliticize everything, niceness, creating an average that's just not accurate.
Yeah, exactly. And why? Why do you want to go get rid of all these variation? Isn't it the beautiful what you said? Like, each psyche got like its own fingerprint, and it's the same. I mean, it is like it is telling you. I don't know why to remove that. What you need to remove is here what we have created. All the judgments, the bias, the thoughts,
Oh
the
crap! You
history.
cut out
Oh
in the
God.
midst of. You said what we need to remove is, and then you cut out.
What we need to remove is the human construct, the bias and the judgment and all of this. What we have created, we are, not the beautiful differences. I mean, why you want everybody to be homogeneous and just look the same and talk the same, and not having accents, not having just like one universal. Why do you want that? That will ruin the beauty of the world we are living in. I mean, one thing that I really like about traveling is that you meet with so many different people, and you get to know these tiny, mini cultures or mini traditions that have been evolved, or many rituals, and it's just I. Then what is the sense of traveling or experiencing things? If you go anywhere and you find the same McDonald's and same Pizza Hut and everything. Why? Why do you want that? It's the
Yeah,
same for race. I mean, why do you want to have like homogeneous population?
I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting though, because the virus kind of, at least at first, the virus kind of treated us like a homogenous population, and for the first time, we were made collective in a way that people who create that average narrative maybe could have never even dreamed of. Um, and then now what's happening? There's splintering off. There's variants. There's
Wow. I like the thought chain that you are using. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. So there is a variation of it's kind of now started clustering people based on his favorites, you mean?
oh crap! You
Hmm.
cut out again. Frozen in time and
I
space.
I don't know why my network is fluctuating. I think yeah, because okay, I know why. Because my hotspot from the phone is on. So what my laptop is doing is to fluctuate between my phone and the internet, the Wi-Fi. Sorry, now it won't
No
happen.
problem.
I found out the solution.
No problem. I just like hanging out with you, talking about stuff.
Me too. I don't know how many things we talk about. Wow, like
Oh no.
amazing.
Yeah,
Is it cutting again?
it just was cutting out for a little bit. I guess we're kind of like talking about all the things that I wanted to talk about in the first place. Yeah, I was gonna ask, do genes behave under national structures, or like what happens when you we're kind of talking about all of this anyway, but I was just thinking about the way that songs and dances misbehave and travel across time and populations and intermingle and mix. And I was just wondering if you could talk about working on coronavirus genetics, and what you mean by open source and ethical science, like open science. And I don't even know what I wrote. What did I write?
I think we kind of touched it already before you are asking. So ethical science or the open sciences, because of course we work with humans. I mean, I can only talk about my where I'm working, that we work with open sensitive human data, as in, you know, like our DNA sequence you can replicate, and you can, so you say that I can say that I allow you to see my genome. Okay, I can give it permission to you. But the problem is that once you have access to my genome, you can also tell my kid or my parent genome, you know, based on that. But they have not given access to you, only I have given. But you will have eventually the information about them as well. So that's why the sharing of human data is very tricky. Like, how do you share that? But and what then people started doing, or the hospitals, for example, then they stopped sharing at all, because they don't want to get into the mess of this. I don't know, people can sue them or whatever. So this is not a solution to not share data, because then the science stops, because there are very few people who generate, and there are so many people who get benefit out of multiple research. One data, you can ask many questions from that. So that's what I say, ethical, because we need to be ethical, because it's not that I'm sharing my data, but I'm going to share my future generation and my past generation with you. So you have to be ethical about that, but you have to share. So that's why EGA, where I work, is this kind of repositories come in the picture, because they have data access committees. They ask you permission. You have to ask permission that I want to study this. You have to define your study. And for example, if you say I want to study this data in cancer related frame, then you will only get permission for that. You cannot use it for any other study purposes. So this kind of thing in place then gives you more confidence for submit your data, that that is going in good hands. So that's what I meant, to not let science stop, because all of this is getting privacy, and the discussion is getting more into privacy, and what to share, what not. Selling data is also, people are selling data as well. So even companies are buying it. They are willing to pay to hospitals, or maybe they are already doing that. There are many hospitals that they sell their patients' data. So all of this I meant with ethical. And Corona, yes, this is the pandemic. During the pandemic time, we were under so much pressure to put things out very quickly, so that others can get benefit. But during that time also, it was happening that people who were generating data, they were very scared that who are they going to, in what hands it will fall. So what we saw was that many people didn't share, or share very late, or so this was the constant struggle, that we were trying to put something out very quickly, but there were very few resources available. So it made me kind of frustrated that, come on, let it. But yeah, but this is a constant struggle, and it needs to be addressed, and constantly needs the reminder. Okay, for science, we have to find our way, so that the science doesn't stop.
Yeah,
maybe that's why I mentioned that. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking when this all first started, which was almost a year ago, to the day. Was just, oh my gosh, how could this ever be politicized? Like, how this is a clear-cut disease with clear-cut solutions. Like, what is there to mess up here? What is there to construe? And I was so wrong. It's gotten so complicated.
Yeah, I mean, and in a way, it's good, that there are, people have these concerns, and that's why they don't. They have the concerns of privacy. What we discussed before, the HeLa cells. When it was happening, there were no guidelines in place, and then a doctor can take the cells out and start replicating in the lab without asking the permission of the person of or their heritage, because the cell lines that we are seeing, the genome we are seeing, basically we have the access to their entire family generation, this woman's
Wow.
generation in our hand. So it's good that they now people are thinking about this and there are guidelines in place, but it is having the shadow side of that, is that it can halt progress if people are not mindful. It can halt what more we can do with that. It won't happen because of all of this extra care, extra limitation.
Hmm. Well, back
Hmm.
to dancing. You know so many dance types. What's your can you talk, can we do a little rapid fire
Mhm.
talking about your dancing? Maybe I'll say a dance
Okay.
that you do, and you could just describe in one sentence what it's like.
Okay.
Okay.
Ready.
Tango.
I like it's a very it's passion and elegance in the body language, while and what also I like with that is that I can close my eyes. I cannot dance tango without with my open eyes. I have to close, and then it's just I let my body follow. The legs are following. It's so liberating. I don't have to think at all, and I think a lot. So I need to switch that part somehow. And this I have found it. Like, okay, here I'm not allowed to think. Yeah, I like the
Uh,
elegance and the fluidity of it.
Forró.
Forró is this Brazilian dance, no? The peppiness. I like just like it's so peppy and so fast. In Brazil, in Forró, there is a variation of it. People dance like they're playing football. Like they're seriously they're kicking the legs, and the followers' legs is going out. So it's I like this so fast. It's just movement, movement, movement all the time. I like.
Salsa.
Salsa is the first dance that I learned. Now I don't dance it. Okay, yeah, the music. My God, it's so to the ground. Like it's so earthly. The music's very. And then I love the sound of this. I don't know what it's called. It's very Latin American style, but I love this and the grooviness. Like have you seen salsa? I mean, people
Oh,
dancing
oh,
salsa.
salsa? Yes, I've tried to dance
It
salsa
has this
before.
grooviness, and then it creates a very beautiful environment. But unfortunately, I don't dance it anymore.
Duende.
Duende is like it's not a dance form. It would be Duende is the state. This a word. It's a state for loosely we could say when you are in the zone. That's what the duende is like, when you are in and out, like in your here, you're aligned. Your experience is something that is there is no division between unconscious conscious. Two parts of you is just aligned. You're just here. So duende is something that is erupting spontaneously from you, and you let it flow. And you can dance it with music, you can dance it without music. You're listening and you are just transcribing. So it's more like just going with the body. Then there is no judgment, there is no rhythm, like you have to form a pattern. It's more such like free. Everything is just free, and you're listening, and the body is taking you. That I
Sorry,
like.
Babita, you cut out just a little. Cut out. You were going like this. Where is it from, Duende?
I learned, so there is a French teacher who kind of formed the group Duende Network, and I attended workshops from them. But basically, what I would say is that you don't have to learn it. It's more like the spontaneity that you just, okay, what they teach you is how to be spontaneous, like how to let whatever is churning up here to just throw out, so what they teach you is just to be present. That's the only thing they teach. They don't teach you how to do it. They will teach you uh, to liberate yourself, maybe. And that's what I like. Otherwise, you don't have to learn it. It's just, like naturally, just feel, just do what is given, just coming from inside, and then that's Duende. Like that's, you are in the zone. You are in synchronous with something. So I like that.
What kind of music is it?
So what I have danced is just any music,
Wow!
It's more, really, there is
Babita, why?
is it frozen again?
Yeah.
Shit, I'm going to throw off my internet, and also it has never happened before, or maybe I have never talked so long before. But it's strange. It's strange why it is happening this way. Sorry. So where did I cut off?
You were telling me what kind of music is Duende dance?
No, that it's just instrumental music of any kind.
Okay.
Any music, really, or without music. I said just like you. The dancing that I was saying in the beach, it was more like this, doing this style of just fluid movements that I was doing.
I love that. Oh,
Yeah.
I've definitely danced like that a lot. That was my original style of dance.
That is the original dance form. Yeah.
That was my I didn't grow up with any dance culture except for the Macarena, and I'm going to just be a hippie now and dance. Like that. What about talk about okay, rapid fire questions. Kathak dancing.
See, Kathak, I'm learning. I'm new to it, and it's very mathematical. I mean, mathematical as in it's intuitive. It's divided into the beats, one beat with 4 whatever steps, and then there are like 16. Sorry, you're frozen. Okay. So what I like about this is this intuitiveness of it. You have to count things, but when I'm counting, I cannot dance. So somehow it's integrated that I'm counting, but intuitively. So I like that play of intuitiveness there, that I know already, I know inside. Just and also it's new, it's classical. The music is beautiful, Kathak music. It's a tabla. I love Indian classical music, or the sound of tabla, and so. So I like the music, and everything is just beautiful in Kathak. I never dared to learn it because it's so difficult. And then slowly now I got a bit of confidence that, okay, perhaps now I'm ready to try it. So, and there are many other dance forms that I have put my hands on, but quickly moved away because of my own limitation of not being able to follow. Like flamenco, for example, it was so difficult for me, super difficult. It was just like, if it is intuitive, maybe perhaps I can dance, but if I have to count something, I cannot do that. But I love it. I love the fire that it gives, that people who are the women who dance, my god, they're pure fire, their bodies radiating. And when, what else I like?
What?
I'm giving you, all my secrets away. I like Sufi dancing a lot. One of these people who are just turning round and round and round. I've never, I mean, I've tried that as in just home, but this is something that I would like to try someday, just like in one of these group, and just doing the Sufi dancing, Sufism.
I mean, I think we're pretending like, oh, it's some great mystery. Why did humans do this? What's the secret? Like, we do it because it's the best.
It's
It,
given. Yeah.
it's great. I love
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
it. I miss it a lot. So
I
sorry.
hope I hope some now we can get out, and yeah, exactly. It's been so long for
So
staying at
long.
peace for
It's hard to hear the music or think about the rhythms of something. Like a month or two into lockdown, I felt all of these different rhythms inside of myself that I had been starting to learn in the traditional Breton dances, uh, or the local or regional variations of the traditional Breton dances. Um, I felt the rhythms inside of myself happening, wanting to come out,
Mhm.
wanting to be
Mhm.
expressed. And I'm a new dancer to that tradition. So I'm thinking about the people for whom this is their life. Every week, maybe twice a week, they go to these dances and do it for hours. So, where are all of the undanced dances going right now? Where are they going?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I
yeah.
care about them. Where are they? How are they doing?
I know. I mean, I completely understand you, and even I wasn't so much like I like learning and I like, but I can imagine how much there were people I was meeting. They would be like anywhere if there is a milonga or Forró music, you will find them. So they were so regular to it that if I'm going just randomly, I will know at least these group will be there. So what they were doing, yeah, how, and especially dances like Forró, Tango, you need a partner. You cannot, by yourself. It's so difficult. You cannot do it. So yeah, I can imagine. It's so sad. It's so sad to be in this situation. But it's better than whatever wars or whatever our previous generations have seen. Let's say in that way, thankfully
Yeah,
there
but like
are.
even in those war times, there could be dancing. Um, and
Yeah, yeah. Like this is first
I mean,
time
not
that
totally, not completely, but
like so this kind of situation really shook people at the fundamental level of what is our right. When police started fining people when they were walking on the street, it made everybody question that it was so inherent and integrated that nobody thought to write it in the law book that you should be able to walk freely, something like that. So there was no law because it was so given that nobody thought about what is that should this should be included in the basic human right. Being able to dance should be included in the basic human right because it was given. But now it is the first time for people it made question at the very fundamental level that what is our right. Are we all governed by state?
yeah,
But on yeah, I mean, really, it's such a ambiguous situation. I don't know. Both sides are right. One thing is okay, the state is ordering us, we stay here. Yes, and also because we see the repercussions. If people are meeting, there are more cases, there are more people dying. So that's the fact that we are seeing. Also, it's very conflicted.
can anything genetically, like epigenetically, change for people if they don't dance for a year?
Depends what you connect when you're dancing. What you connect to. It's. I think if it is bring if not dancing or not music or not the expression of art or creativity is bringing you to a negative depressive state, you are the markings on the genome will change. One thing is the genome, your given sequence, and then there is other layer to it, that there are markings that happen, and then they kind of switch on or switch off those genes that needs to be expressed. So these markings are all the time changing, all the time when you're interacting with nature and everything. So could be. Could be, but not at, I don't know if at that level of, that it can be transferred, or, it can be seen in the next generation or something like that. But of course, the markings of turning on and off genome, we must have interacted with this situation. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So the genome turns on and off, or like different parts of it do?
The genes, yeah. So based on what we are interacting to, if there's a tiger in front of you, you will interact to it differently than you're feeling safe and fearless in some environment. So based on the what we are seeing, and we are responding, or our genes are responding to that.
My mind just was like, oh, I just love dancing so much. It just where'd it go? I was just laughing at that sentence in my head. Oh man.
What do you have craving for, like, during the phase of this lockdown? What is the craving, the necessity?
My
For you?
craving is to be like, I love waltzing. I love to be in a nice, like, big waltz formation with the arm and everything, and just be like, I love it.
Well, we can dance,
Can we
Really?
dance?
I can follow you.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. The times are strange.
Super strange.
Nice. You have a guitar, a car, and a stereo.
That's the car. It's my brother. It's like
That's
he's
cool.
playing with toys.
How old is he?
He's 28.
Oh, cool.
The remote control car, and he does this kind of, I don't know what it's called, drift or
I
something.
don't know.
What time is it there?
Oh, it's so late. It's like 11:30 p.m.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. It's like completely opposite. It's like day and night. Here is 10 in the morning.
It is totally day and night. And I'm just happy to hang out with you online.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What are you doing these days? So what is your creative juice? How are they flowing?
It's so hard. My days are never the same. Like, they're never individually packaged the same every day. Like, if I was a genome, every day, every letter would be a different letter. Every letter. Yeah, there's so many variations. I mean, I try to cook every day, and then I do some, like applying for jobs and trying to freaking figure out how to get back to Brittany. And I did a webinar, gave a workshop webinar at the University of New Mexico on pretty much exactly what we're talking about yesterday, but I did it online. And just I'm trying to scheme, I guess. Just trying to scheme.
Just trying to scheme.
Just trying to scheme. Trying to write a book.
What book are you writing? That's interesting.
I'm writing a book called Between People about the transmission of music and dance in the digital age. Specifically in Brittany.
Wow. And yeah, I think we have talked about it, and I asked the same question, that the digitization, do you think this has gone kind of, is it good or is it conflicting with the old, this traditionally well-preserved, this dance and music structure? I don't know.
I think that it's sort of like uplifting it at this point. It's uplifting it and giving it a new audiences and new venues, and making people who wouldn't otherwise have access to it be able to listen to it and learn it.
Yeah.
But it rests that the way to really integrate into carrying a musical style or dance style or tradition is that you have to go there and be a part of the group, of the community, of the place, of the air, of the textures. And
exactly.
There will always be this element of pilgrimage to the place and the people from whence it came. I don't know if that's going to change in our lives.
Yeah. Well, that is where we see the limitation of this digital world. In a way, it's giving everything to everyone, but you have to be in it to experience it. So even if it's in front of you, and maybe you can dance via VR system also, but it's not the same. You have to be in it to experience, and that's why the pilgrimage is the right word. Yeah. So these are not going to die. It's not that digitization of the world is going to take everything. No, it cannot replicate the experience.
Yeah, but I keep going back to those weird playlists that are the context and the context and the context of the music, and can we do so much of that it feels like you're living in a room. I'm in a room right now, so far away from you, but I feel like I'm with you. And I could do other things to enhance that experience, I guess. I could like whatever you are listening to, I could get another speaker and put it next to me and play the soundtrack for your ambient space.
Well, the what you talked about, this enhancing the experience with rain, rainfall. I'm thinking or wondering that it's like a reminiscing of it. So you have to first experience it, and then you're kind of going back and bringing it again.
Exactly. There's a source experience or something.
Yeah, you have to know first how it feels like, and then only you can replicate. Or so the original experience is always the real one.
It's always the preferred alternative. So who is the grooviest? Like, who is going to be the grooviest? Who's going to survive?
Survive from what?
I don't know, the whatever
Well,
cataclysm.
what I will say is that like what I was talking about, Ice Age men, and they found this survival based on the who were able to, or who belong more to this dancing group style. We don't know if they were dancing literally, but perhaps they had the what do you say? I'm forgetting the word, but they had something in them. So a grooviest would be more like people who are connected with people, with nature, with expression. They are bringing out what humanity is not sitting and replicating the task given to you that a robot or any automated machine can do. Human is more than that. Human is more this spontaneous eruption, and seeking, and creativity, and just flowing and figuring out more things. And so grooviest would be these that are going, well, that are re-engineering themselves more than what a machine is capable of doing.
Mhm.
And now with AI creating music and dancing, we don't even know what we have to keep ourselves ahead of them. So it's like, I don't know. Grooviest would be just the self-expression, finding ways of self-expression.
Yeah, against all odds.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it has been. The creativity has never stopped.
But haven't like the ostentatious weird people died first?
Are we talking about Jesus or
Yeah.
just general growth?
No, I was thinking about drag queens, and then I realized, and like I think that like
Look,
visible early as in like 60s, 70s
but
homosexuality was like
yeah,
actually a survival mechanism. It's like being loud and fancy, it kind of it can keep you from dying. Sorry, that wasn't a
mhm.
well-formed point.
No, but I understand what you mean. I understand. We are talking about self-expression exactly, and what you're saying about dying, we have to think what dies. What dies is the body, but the message you have, the feeling that you have created in another person. That each person you meet, you bring it in you, and the feeling that they have created, the feeling is in you. So who dies? Just the person, the body dies, but everything else is just there. So these people, of course, I mean, and also any person who has come too soon for who has been not the right timing, so they have been way ahead of what collective understanding has reached. They have suffered, but they have also been remembered for that. So collective understanding is slow. It goes slowly towards something, but there are people who have been on the wrong timing but for the right reasons. um, they
Yeah.
create, they leave their legacy, they motivate. Even just one person, the message stays. They show that this can be done, and they suffer for it for sure, because well, this quote that the sing like the man is intelligent but the group is stupid, something like this. That the collective, whatever we are talking about, when we talk about collective, it always will be way behind than the individual can reach. So
Oh. Oh. Hmm. You think an individual can do more on their own than the collective?
but they're not separate, of course. I mean, yeah, at individual level, you have to, it's more like figuring out what can be done and pushing yourself beyond, and see, that is done at individual level. And but it's not, it cannot separate, as in it's done for the collective. It's done, I mean, it's like we are kind of, each of us are working in our direction, what can be done, but then we bring the knowledge back to the group. We bring the knowledge back to where
Oh, you,
everybody.
sorry,
Am I?
just when you were saying your point.
I'm saying that we bring, so individuals go here and there and to seek and wonder and what can be done, but at the end they come back to the roots. They come back to bring the knowledge to the group. So the collective benefit with human, individual journey and individual sacrifices, but it doesn't stay separate. It's always, it's like exchanging back and forth some information.
Okay, this is my question. What do people in your field see as the end goal? Like the collective, like what are we striving for? What are we evolving toward?
Look, of course, the something to do with the suffering. How can we, as a humanity, we can lessen it? And we have been, so if you see from the history to now, it's kind of, we are working towards.
You would cut out, did you say suffering?
Yeah, like lessen the suffering. What if you see from the history, what we are trying to do is to move towards it. That how can we move, I mean, perhaps that could, it's not a bad thing to be that as a common goal, to lessen it a bit in however form. It's not just in science, but in however form, but to, because we resonate. I mean, it's not that one person suffers, everybody suffers for that. We are resonating with each other, we are always interacting, so you cannot feel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that your neighbor is suffering so you can stay happy. It doesn't work that way. So either we all go up or we all go down. So better is that we all kind of work towards, to lessen that. And just science or people in my field are working towards it. However, what I think is that it's a bit, so in science, what is becoming is more like everything is for society, and you have to, each science doesn't work that way. The researchers should be, should be given freedom of chase your curiosity. Don't think about if it is benefit of the society or not. And if you bring something, if it is beneficial, yes. If your experiment fails, that's okay too. But the pressure is more like to do something and quick, and it's which is also, it can become very unhealthy. That's science is more like just to chase curiosity with the morality, with the intention of this to lessen that suffering.
Yeah. Huh. I think that's like what is pleasure? What is really deep pleasure? Because I think of like the opiate crisis in America and elsewhere. That lessens a kind of suffering. One of those pills lessens a kind of suffering and pain, but it also, at the same time, brings death and destruction and despair to entire families, communities. It's like, what is real pleasure? What is a real
Yeah.
automated long-term system of care for ourselves, and also not just humans.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That I'm hearing that's what genetic scientists are looking to in your work.
Yeah, that's a good point that you are saying. So that's a good point. The opiates thing, no, also that is in a way lessening suffering. That's true, but at what cost? Do you hear me? I see you frozen.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm pulsating. I don't know why.
How? What if all of this while it was your internet instead of mine?
It honestly could
Hmm.
be. It could be.
If all of this time I was cursing my internet provider.
It's probably just me.
So yeah, yeah. What I was saying that what you said is true. The opiates is also in a way, it's lessening the suffering, but also at what cost? So the cost is should be added in the equation. If you're doing a business and you're not making profit, you're doing a false business. That's the same. That could be if you're getting a quick relief, but at the cost of your connection with the society, your connection with your family, friends, your own state. It's a moment of happiness versus hours and days and weeks of negative state. So the cost, I mean, if you are a product of you are manifesting as a best product, then you have to think about the margins of profit and whatever, like are you in so are you getting something out of it, or are you losing more um, with these quick solutions? So that could be the answer. Another thing I missed to tell you that I said about suffering, but on the other hand, in research at least, people are also doing things for curiosity, just for pure curiosity, and I like that also. Like researching on the universe and moon and Mars, and so that's perhaps that's not anything to do with suffering, but it's more like to follow the curiosity, and that's beautiful as well. I like that people are chasing things to get knowledge, how much we can know.
Yeah. Hmm. Because that's a kind of pleasure as well. The freedom to wonder and the freedom to imagine. There's a lot that can't be said and can't be confronted right now because of, like, what you're talking about, just political structures and old structures that don't let us break out and imagine, like, what if you're thinking about the genome in a way that is complete a sequence or not a double helix. Sorry, I don't know anything about genes, but is there like another infrastructural model you could put on a gene just for fun? Just try it on, or do you always have to have that sequence when you're thinking about it?
So that's the thing. The life we have known it could be any other form of life, but what we have known so far is it has this RNA or DNA as a material. That's what we call the life starts from there. So when the sequences come together, it could be in any other alien, life form. It is manifesting in different ways. But in on Earth, it's mostly amino acids and nucleotides and these. So perhaps, yeah. Unless, are you there? I
I'm
see you're
here. I'm
frozen.
just flashing around. I don't know why. I'm here. Just going in and out. But go ahead, continue.
No, that the life that I was saying that we have seen is mostly this in our Earth, on our planet, has been this sequences, DNA, RNA, amino acids, nucleotides. So this is how we know it. But maybe in other alien, some other stars and planets, it could be in another form. We don't know.
Like, could it be two could it be two like blobs that come to get like kind of more? I don't know, Babita. I don't know. It just feels me these lines.
You don't like the helical structure, like the staircase one. You don't like. I think it's very
I don't know.
beautiful. It's like just intertwining, Yeah, it could be a dance step, a viral dance step.
I think that it is a dance step, and it's like
It's like this spiral staircase, like we are reaching to something.
but what are we reaching for? What is the end all be all of humankind? Why? Why are we here? What are we doing? So frustrated
Wow.
today. I almost burnt down the house. I left the broiler on for too long, and I just got to thinking, why are we here?
You know what? It might surprise you. I have thought about it a lot. And then, after whatever reading and this and that and rationalizing and thinking, I have come to the conclusion that we are here to experience things. And that's not a bad thing. We are here to be present. I mean, if you think this is the most basic thing that we have forgotten how to do it, to be present, to being able to experience things. If we do it already, if we do it correct, it's enough. It's good enough. But we are not present. It's so difficult to stay aware, to experience, to let life pass through you, to participate, to 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 bring yourself out there and participate with life, to let it pass through you. You don't have to design your life, just accept what is in front of you, and the next thing and the next thing, and interact with that. It's already such, it will be such an enriching life if we were present all the time with these little things. Yeah.
Do you think you can just kind of surf the sequence of events?
You can serve. What other options we have? If you think we have any other option, it's like such a, living in a bubble or whatever egoistical, um, here, like very much that I can change things, I can control things. The only power that we have is this, to experience things.
So maybe this is why you say you're a dancer by necessity, is because by necessity you must dance, because that's exactly what happens when you're dancing. Is you're just feeling every step, and the moment that you think about it, you make the wrong step. You're counting, you're tripping over yourself, you fall down, you step on your friend.
Yeah, it's the pure symbolic manifestation of participation. You're participating. You're present. You're out there. You are spontaneous. You are not planning anything. So that's a perfect expression.
I like this so much. I love relaxing. I've been remembering how much I love to relax lately, and and realizing, oh, it's kind of always there. I mean, obviously, saying that belies a certain privilege and ease that does exist in my life, but I don't usually think about. I'm like everything sucks. I'm so stressed. There's so much to do. Oh fuck. How am I gonna ever possibly live? I have to figure this out. Why don't I have this item? Why didn't I have this? What if this person thinks this? Oh my god. But then
Yeah, I know, been there, done that, all of this. What I'm saying that I have, with all of this, what I have figured. I'm still figuring out, but it seems to me that seriously, what only thing that is in our power is to be here and just experience and participate and interact. And seriously, anything beyond, we have no, we can, yeah. Anyway, let's not go into this. Let's talk about, I don't know, something. I don't know.
Well, it's just complicated by the fact that people right now, out of necessity, are dancing, but only they are dancing alone and then on the internet for likes, for recognition. And it makes it so that like being in the dance while you're doing it isn't actually the end goal. The end goal is like getting seen. And
Look, there is something in us that wants to be seen, that is for sure. But by whom? The question is by whom, you know. You are for, maybe you are picking your target audience wrong. I don't know. But it's true that there is something in us that wants to be heard and seen. And maybe by you when you are not listening it. Or yeah, the right question to ask is by whom?
yeah, so that's a great question. Maybe we should just end with that question. We've been here a long time.
Yeah, I started with early morning and now I see the sun already coming up. How long it has been. Wow. Wow, it's more than 2 hours.
It's
My
almost
God.
2 hours. What the heck?
Yeah. Wow. Look at that. I didn't realize I was not looking at the time.
I didn't really realize either. I think that we achieved a state in the live stream of truly, I mean, it's going to feel weird. I bet it's going to feel weird for you and for me when we get off of the live stream and just go back to being inside of a room and having a time, because it's so immersive.
There are so many things to come up that to think about and to keep it. Many things that you said, I have it in my back of my mind, and I need to bring it out and churn it a bit. You know, like what cows do. They ruminate? Yeah, I need to ruminate a bit on things. But it was lovely talking to you. We touched so many things, and thank you for asking me so many nice, beautiful questions that I don't. I was so scared that what I'm going to say. I was so scared with all of these things, and I don't know what will come out, and what I will say, and if I hope I don't offend anyone or say something that is not appropriate or things like that. But I think we managed
It's
well.
almost impossible to talk for longer than 10 minutes and not appall anyone. So I'm sure the good thing is that like the maximum people that were ever watching this live stream was like 5. So I hope we don't get canceled. And if we do, well, at least we'll have each other.
Well, it's like yeah. I mean, for me, I was just enjoying the talking to you. I mean, if there is more than one listener, wow, like like an added, bring on, come on the ride. But it was a nice conversation just between
Yeah.
us.
Come on the ride like an amino acid and a hemoglobin. Just kidding. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Hemoglobin and oxygen, maybe. Just like so hemoglobin carries oxygen, and take it everywhere. So
I admire your scientific capacity so much. I think it's so cool. I'm glad to have a friend like you to be able to talk to and ask questions.
but I admire your music capacity. I mean, it's incredible, your voice and such free and just I'm always mesmerized how openly you sing and just it's just it's like that again, like another personality that's coming and like making it voice heard. It's beautiful to experience that.
Thanks. I can end with a song. I can end our time with a song if you want.
Yes, please. I would love that.
I just decided that I want to sing the song, but I kind of like don't. Yeah. Let's go for it. Of all the money that ever I spent it in good company. And of all the harm that ever I've done, alas, 'twas done to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit to memory now I came. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy with you all. Oh, to all. Oh, and if I had enough to spend and leisure time to stay a while, there is a fair maid in this town, surely has my heart beguiled. Her rosy cheeks and ruby lips, she alone has my heart enthralled. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Good night and joy be with you all. Or good day to you, Babita, because it's day.
Thank you, Melanie. It was beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for playing that.
Of course. Thank you for being here, and we'll have debriefs for the next few years, figure out what's going on.
Yeah, thank you for lovely chat. I'm definitely going to keep it and think more, and perhaps we talk later again what we were discussing now. Hey, look, I found you the answer of this and that.
I know the
And
answer.
yeah, what you asked now, it's coming to me. It happens always to me.
Yeah, when the Melanie
Okay.
Show has a little more, has more legends about it. It's written up in the billion papers, and I had lots of money. I will give you lots of money, and we'll go and we'll talk about genes.
Definitely. On our yacht, somewhere
Yes, on the yacht.
with a wine in the beer.
Perfect.
Thank you. Well, I leave you to sleep. You remember the dancing part of with the wave. Yeah, it's the
Yes.
extension of the body.
This is the extension of my body.
Exactly. Just throw it out.
I don't want to leave you. It's hard.
Oh, oh.
This is really nice.
Good night.
Good day. Goodbye.
Bye.